Now, we've had a new report out into maternity and neonatal care, and honestly, there's not a single surprise in it. It is still, and I don't use these words lightly, a total disgrace. We've had multiple reports telling us this, and yet the same problems keep happening. Women not being listened to, mums and babies being harmed or even dying when they shouldn't. So many people have their own stories, and I'm sure like, if you're listening to this right now, you might have your own story or you might know somebody who does. But there is one thing that I wanted to pick out from the report by Baroness Amos. The investigation heard cases of women who had lost babies being placed on wards with newborns. Now, this might seem like a little thing, but can you imagine losing a baby? The worst moment of your entire life. All those hopes and dreams for your child's future, you know, carrying the baby inside you, feeling it grow, and then the blood, the desperation that maybe it's going to be okay, surely it has got to be okay. And then the reality that you've lost your child. And then what happens? You're put on a ward full of other mothers just like you, but these mums have their little babies in their arms. Now, that is not just negligent, it's cruel. And it also happens systematically throughout the NHS. Having a miscarriage, go to the maternity unit. Just had a scan where you hope to see your baby kicking, but you actually find out it doesn't have a heartbeat. Go and sit down with all the happily pregnant mums. You know, this is symptomatic of a system where women are treated like vessels, not like people who should be heard and listened to. Because bringing life into the world can be the happiest time of your life, but it can also be the worst time of your life. Either way, it is the most important moment, and that is why we've got to get this right. So with that in mind, I'm very pleased to say that the chair of the review, Baroness Amos, joins us now on this programme. I just want to say, first of all, thank you for your detailed and honest report into the reality of maternity and neonatal services in the UK. What have you found?
Well, Sophie, thank you. And can I start by saying, you know, my condolences to all of those women and families who have been harmed, who have also lost their babies. Their babies have died. And I have heard so many experiences since I started this investigation. And one of the things that I want to say back to those women and families is that I know it is not easy to do, that they are talking about these experiences time and time again because they want things to be different. Mm-hmm. What I have published today is really reflecting back what I've heard from my engagement with those families, because I have not yet concluded the site visits to the 12 NHS trusts that I will be visiting. We had to reschedule because of the resident doctors' strike. So I am not publishing findings or recommendations. It is too soon to do that. But I did not want a long gap. I wanted the engagement with families, with the trusts that I've had so far. I wanted to put it out there, what I have heard. And I have been shocked. I've been shocked because there have been so many reviews before. Over 748 recommendations have been made previously. Yes, some have been implemented, but some have not. We don't know what the impact of those have been, so we're doing a separate piece of work to understand that. But what I have been asked to do is to come up with some clear national recommendations that will stop this and will make a difference. It just cannot continue. There is too much harm, too much distress, too much trauma, and the long-term consequences for families, for communities, and for all of us as a wider community are almost unbearable.
Unbearable is a word. It really is. You say there, you make the very valid point that there's been 748 recommendations over the last decade. And look, you know, none of this is a surprise. This is the kind of awful thing of it. You know, we've heard the Ockenden review. We've spoken to our friends, our family members, our loved ones. We know what's going on. You know, the cynic in me is like, nothing's going to change. What are you going to do to, you know, make something change?
Well, I very much hope there will be change. And the reason I say that is because I was commissioned to do this. It's an independent review, but I was commissioned by the Secretary of State to come up with some systemic recommendations that would make a difference in the short to medium term. And what he has committed to is a task force with experts on it, with a families first principle, to turn those recommendations into an implementation plan so that things do change.
Are you going to hold
it-
his feet to the fire on that? Are you going to personally make sure that the Health Secretary does deliver on it?
well, it's the health secretary, and I have spoken to him on more than one occasion. He has said that he is absolutely committed to this. He has heard from families. He's shocked by what he has heard. And yes, of course, part of my responsibility once I've delivered my report will be to argue very strongly for implementation of those recommendations. I mean, ultimately, it is for the Secretary of State, but he is setting up the task force as we speak, and he has given his personal commitment to this.
The statistics on women who aren't white are really shocking. And I should say, by the way, you know, the system's pretty bad for everyone, including white women, including middle-class women, across the board. But I don't think we can ignore the fact that if you are a black woman giving birth in hospital, you are more at risk. I just wonder if you want to talk a bit about that. You know, do you think there is unconscious bias? Do you think there's even systematic racism in the NHS? What's going on?
There is clearly discrimination. Listening to what black women have told us, listening to what Asian women have told us, many of the things that they talk about are across the piece, you know, not being listened to, the kind of lack of basic care. I mean, all of these things are the same. But when a woman tells you that she is making choices that she knows may be detrimental to her because of her previous experience of healthcare, because of the racism that she has experienced, there's something additive here in terms of race. And inequalities is a key strand of the work that we're doing, looking at issues around race, but also mental health and neurodiversity as well.
Just finally, one thing that really stood out to me, and I mentioned this in the introduction, is women who lost babies being placed on wards with newborns. And I just feel that this is kind of the kind of basic humanity point that we're lacking in our maternity care and our care for women who are pregnant, who might be struggling desperately to have a baby, who might be on the brink of losing a baby, like the worst moment of your life. And what I would describe as the kind of casual cruelty with which we deal with them.
I could not agree with you more. I mean, it is a good thing to do that would make a difference. Or women who they've lost their child, and then yes, they are put into a, you know, maybe a separate room and so on. But then when they leave hospital, they have to walk out through antenatal care. They have to walk out, you know, through wards where women have had children. This is so basic and fundamental. We must be able to make a change to that, surely. As you say, it's a cruel, cruel thing to do.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. And I would just like to say good luck in your battle to try and make some change and to try and get some changes. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our women and families deserve this change, and I'm going to work hard to make it happen.